Driver, clear to return. Now your driver and myself would like to welcome to Disney Hollywood Studios. Today the park open until 6 p.m. This cruising track keeps running 90 minutes after the park closes. Okay, to the driver's right, over the tree line, you can see the Hollywood Hotel, House of Tower of Terror. Next to this, you can find Aerosmith Rock and Roll Coaster. Okay, we approach to our main entrance. Please remain seated until the tram comes to a full and complete stop. And after the stop, you can exit from this tram with the driver's right-hand side and driver's right-hand side only. And after exit, please cross over this yellow safety line and follow the blue arrows on the ground. They will lead you to the main entrance. And at the main entrance, you will pass through security checkpoint. Please prepare your bags to security check at the main entrance. Please wait for the stop. And
like this, yeah, right there. I'm like this guy.
We can get a fast passport and come back. Or we can wait 40 minutes in line.
The Twilight Zone. Hollywood, 1939. Amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young movie town at the height of its golden age, the Hollywood Tower Hotel was a star in its own right, a beacon for the show business elite. Now, something is about to happen that will change all that. On an evening very much like the one we have just witnessed. Tonight's story of the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard because in tonight's episode, you are the star, and this elevator travels directly to the Twilight Zone.
Go riding. Mum, pick Netflix, I get that.
The car to match our film set, and boy did we find it. This car is pretty unusual. It has 4 gears forward and 4 gears in reverse, so it can really tear it up going backwards. Now, if you notice the motor right there, it seems like it's in the back, folks, but it's really not. It's actually front of the back axle, right behind that driver. By definition, that makes it a mid-engine vehicle, and it helps our drivers maneuver on all those tight turns.
Yeah, speaking of tight, there is no extra room in there. You couldn't even fit. Oh, yeah, the new puppy couldn't even fit inside.
No,
could you?
not at all.
It's not a lot of room inside that car.
Did you get a new puppy?
What? No, did not.
You know, speaking of puppies, let's bring out the hero.
Let's bring him out.
Want to do that?
That's a good segue there.
See how he did this.
All right, let's do it. Bring him out.
Set go. Set go.
know what though? I think we may have to replace that pump in there. Get a little rub in there. We'll get it looked at. Dennis put it in the budget. I think you were driving. Let's look right at this camera right over here, Chris, and just tell these fine folks how in the world you jumped that car backwards. Yes. Okay, all right. He's speechless. Yes. Let's let him off the hook because he's going to keep talking. This one-of-a-kind unique car has its way here. 2 on set, go. Turn 2, go. Now, folks, all joking aside, Chris Moreno over here, one of the best drivers in the business, but it's just not safe for anybody to jump a car backwards. That's why we had this duplicate car made exactly in every detail except for one. Check this out. The driver faces out the back.
That's right. Now we took it one more extreme. We built a backwards stunt man, so it looks like he's driving facing out the front of the car. Look at this. Hi, everybody. Kisses out there. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, our reverse driver, here he is, Mr. Mike Sawyer from Boston. Boston, Mike.
New York. Nice guy. Now you might be wondering how we switched those two vehicles behind the set without any of you noticing. Hey, let's get some footage up and share that. There's the hero coming up here in a second. We'll show that right there. Now he's doing a 270. That puts him in reverse. He drives right past the reverse hero, waiting position to take over.
That's right. The two cars are like runners in a relay race, passing the baton. When the main car disappeared, that reverse car took over without missing a beat. Guys, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Let's get him out.
Right up here, buddy.
And then that fourth layer there is a driving suit soaked in cool gel to keep his core body temperature down while he's on fire. And what you're seeing there is the fifth and final layer. The fuel being painted on that sacrificial burn suit is actually what's burning, and then not the suit itself.
An enemy torpedo. As you begin to relax, crew, you think things are okay, but that's just not the case. This is an action film. Up in the sky, 12 o'clock, coming at your boat. Bombers. Point them for me, crew. Bombers, go, let's go. Coming in the stern of your boat, crew. Oh, they're going on the boat. They're heading for the audience. Tell the audience to back up. Look out, folks. Back up, back up, back up. And give them all a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Was built in 1988 as a Florida counterpart to the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. We included sound stages, recording studios, high-tech editing rooms, all the tools needed to create movies, TV shows, and radio broadcasts. We've even got our very own water tower, too. It's up ahead on the left side of our shuttle. We call it the Earful Tower. It's inspired by the water tower Walt Disney had built for his Burbank studio in 1939. Our Florida tower stands a lucky 13 stories high, and we added our own creative touch, a giant set of Mickey Mouse ears. If you wanted to wear those ears, you'd have to have a hat size of 342 3/8. Up ahead, after the next bend in the road, you'll have a perfect opportunity to take a picture of this famous icon. In the world of entertainment, every project starts with a screenplay and a lot of creative ideas. A production studio is where the ideas of writers, producers, and directors are transformed into an on-screen reality. Within these huge spaces, filmmakers can literally create their own worlds. Our Florida sound stages are soundproof, weatherproof, and most importantly, air conditioned. All vitally important for the cast, crew, and equipment. Many of the crafts needed for filmmaking are located right here on the lot. On the left, we have our own greens department. It grows flowers, trees, shrubs, and topiaries. A few well-placed plants can cover up empty spots in the set and add a touch of natural beauty to a scene. On the right are two vintage World War II aircraft. But these P-40 replicas were created specifically for the big screen, even though they look as if they could join the action at any moment. You might say these high flyers are real characters. Oh, keep your cameras focused to the right. We're coming up on that perfect angle of the Eiffel Tower I told you about. It's a true masterpiece. We're entering one of our most glamorous and colorful departments, creative costuming. Every star has to have just the right wardrobe, and it all begins here with a designer's sketch. Our team of designers, seamstresses, and tailors can churn 1.5 million yards of fabric to feed over 25,000 costumes every year. Many of these costumes will become part of the shows and attractions of the Walt Disney World Resort. In fact, here in Florida, we have the largest working wardrobe department in the world. While Mickey Mouse alone has over 175 different outfits to choose from, while Minnie Mouse keeps more than 200 unique costumes in her wardrobe. On the left are costumes worn by the stars in recent studio productions. You'll probably recognize some of those costumes from the big screen. Every story needs a setting, and our design staff can create just about any place a script calls for, from an urban city street to a remote desert canyon. On the left is our scenic shop where large-scale sets and props are built. Our team of set designers, carpenters, artists, and engineers have created caves and caverns, game show sets, even replicas of the U.S. Supreme Court and NASA's Mission Control, all on our sound system. The shop also provides sets and props for our shows and parades here at Walt Disney World. The same skill and craftsmanship that goes into a movie set can also be used to create magic for our parks. Either way, it's all about making dreams come true. Now we're entering a zone we call the boneyard. It's an outdoor storage area for oversized props and vehicles. Cars, trucks, boats, planes, we often save these props in case we need them for future production. In this backlot collection, you may find real working vehicles, non-working mock-ups, and even large-scale miniatures used in special effects shots. Large-scale models create a more convincing illusion on camera. We're now passing by the sets for our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. On the left, you may catch a glimpse of the Mediterranean fishing village that sets the stage for this thrilling attraction. We'll get a closer look at it soon, but for now, we're approaching one of the largest standing sets on our back lot. It's over on the right. It may not look like much from this angle, but it's pretty spectacular on the other side. This is great, folks. The production crew has just given us clearance to enter the set.
Hello, Backlot Tour. I'm Amy, a production coordinator here at the studios. I can see your shuttle heading toward our canyon set. I've given your driver permission to come in and take a look around. I'm up here with our effects crew, and we're getting ready to shoot a test sequence. Oh, on the way in, you're going to be crossing a wooden bridge, and things may get a little bumpy, so please, hold on to your belongings, especially hats, cameras, and glasses, and keep an eye on any small children in your party. And of course, please remain seated at all times. Welcome to the set. As you can see, we brought the bare, dry deserts of Southern California to green, typically humid San sequence. This sudden shower is really just a special effect. We've rigged up a series of water nozzles just above your tram. The water sprays in a crisscross pattern to create a sense of depth. But this storm only covers the first few feet of this net.
Investigated, England Station.
Okay, it's showtime. Everybody stay seated, hang on to your belongings, and watch your children. About 70,000 gallons of it, dumped from overhead tanks. Oh, but don't worry, we recycle. All of that water will be pumped right back up to the top for the next take. We shoot some of the water through air cannons for an extra dynamic effect. Those air cannons are powerful enough to shoot a basketball over the top of a skyscraper the size of the Empire State Building. To top it off, our shuttle was sitting on hydraulic shaker cables. They provided the shaking, rattling, and rolling sensations for the scene. The entire sequence can be reset in 3.5 minutes. That's just enough time to bring in the next shuttle. Well, I've got to get ready for our next take. Thank you all for being part of the action. Hey, I'm needed back on the set, so enjoy the rest of your tour.
Okay, well, thanks, Amy, for giving us access to the set.
Hi, everybody. I'm Clay Hall, the director of the new Disney Toon Studios animated feature, Planes. Looks like the historic aircraft on the right is getting into the spirit of our new film. You know, it would fit right in with Dusty Crophopper, El Chupacabra, and all their high-flying friends from Prop Wash Junction. Now, that plane was known in airports across the country as November 234 Mickey Mouse, or the Mouse for short. You know, back in the early 1960s, Walt Disney himself used this plane to scout locations for what he referred to as the Florida Project. His team purchased many acres of land here in Central Florida, but they kept the Disney connection a well-guarded secret. Eventually, the secret was out, and the Walt Disney World Resort became a reality. I hope you enjoy the rest of your tour, and I hope you enjoy Planes.
On our right, we once again sweep past the magnificent Mediterranean village of our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. This high-octane attraction is based on the hit show from the Walt Disney Studios Park in France. In this action-packed production, you'll feel like you're right there on the set during the filming of a spy thriller, complete with custom-built cars, motorcycles, even jet skis. You'll experience the split-second timing, coordinated driving, and fiery special effects that make action movies a real blast. The staging area to our right is known as Acceleration Alley. Here, the custom-built stunt show vehicles rev their engines up to 70 miles an hour before making their high-speed entrances onto the stage for our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. Of course, these are professional stunt drivers. We hope you'll enjoy their daring driving skills, but please, don't try them yourself. On the left, we've reached our second boneyard with more historic props and vehicles. When we reuse older props in a new production, they're often refitted with custom parts and given a whole new color scheme. You might not even recognize them the next time you see them on screen. For instance, coming up is our friend Herbie the Love Bug. He went through a special demolition derby makeover. Those dents and dings were added on purpose, but he can be polished up as good as new for his next starring role. On our right, we we now have a very different view of the fishing village set. From this point of view, you can see that there is no inside of the buildings. They are just false fronts or facades. In the movie business, set builders only create what the camera has to see. It's an old movie trick dating all the way back to the silent era. To add to the sense of realism and avoid the cost of set building, many of today's television shows and movies film on location in cities and towns across the U.S. But out in the real world, you've got to contend with noise, traffic, crowds, and various visual elements that may or may not belong in your film. Here on the backlot, we can avoid these problems because we created our very own flexible urban environment. Our Streets of America facades can stand in for a small town or a giant metropolis. As we come around the last corner on our route, you'll see the skyline of New York City in the distance. It's really a series of painted flats, expertly designed to fool the eye and the camera. We can dress and decorate these streets to look like any city we want, from Chicago to San Francisco. Depending on the choice of vehicles, props, and costumes, we can even turn back the clock and set our story in a different time. And what's more, these sets are built with Florida weather in mind. They're made to withstand 100-mile-an-hour winds. You're welcome to visit our Streets of America anytime during your visit today and get an up-close look at the skills of our set designers and builders. We've just about reached the end of our tour. Our final stop is the American Film Institute Showcase, where you can see the actual costumes and movie props used in some of Hollywood's most famous films. There are some pretty amazing items in there, so feel free to take all the time you like. Please stay seated until our tram comes to a complete stop and check around you for any personal items that may have fallen during our trip. Well, as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining our backlot tour, and we hope you'll come back to visit us again soon.